let's go into our mobile device. So Freddie has rocked up to work, logged in on his phone, and depending on the user access, he's only got two things he can do. He can clock on and clock off, and he can analyse his times or look at his timesheet for the week. So he goes straight in, chooses the pay type in question. You control what's available here. We've overloaded this for the sake of the demo, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend you'd have all of those necessarily. So you choose that. Typically it's going to be just normal time, hourly, whatever your sort of language is. Choose the job that we're working on and basically clock on. Now, the anticipation is he'll be doing this at the time he's starting work. We recorded this video at 11:36 in the morning on a good-looking rooster's phone. On this occasion, we're actually going to drop back and we're choosing a start time. That's the clock on. That's done. It's in green, meaning that there is a clock on in sequence, and at some point we're going to look for the clock off to go with it. So we can drill down the timesheet, including what's current, but we can also click back through other days and see what's in there. So I think we're going to go at this point, have a look at the timesheet itself. No, I lie. We're going to close that time off. We're going to come back to that in a second. So now we're going to clock off. Lunch was taken as normal. And once again, I know the relevance in terms of the time is that we're scrolling these things through. But in practical reality, the expectation is you just press that green now, and that's going to give you the now time to clock off. There's a rounding tolerance that you guys set up and determine. So 10 minutes might, at the start of the day, we might round up, 5 minutes, 10, whatever you guys see fit to actually grab the start time. At the end of the day, we might round back. You can determine all of those sort of things. Going back into the timesheet element on the phone, I've got the ability to check my whole week before I actually lodge it for pay processing. So now I can click through any given day. I can see the date here. And I can actually see what was logged for that time frame. Cannot change that, of course, once pay processing's been done. Very much locked after that. Get a total for our hours down the bottom if there's multiple entries on the screen. We can alter any of those up until pay processing time frame. So this guy's decided, in actual fact, I didn't go home at 3:30. I really went home at 4 o'clock. I question why he would be putting this in after the event, but it really makes a good video. And he's going to inform us that he did some overtime. Of course, the award system would know that. We know all the rules that would break down in terms of giving overtime out anyway, but up there for diligence. Night shift, afternoon shift, you will tell us, or you'll tell the system, essentially, what's required in terms of this capture to get full pay processing underway. So that's the device. As I said, intention, clock on in the morning, clock off in the afternoon. You might go home without clocking off, so I do get that, you come back in, oh, didn't do that, you can wrap it up later on. Let's jump ahead to the next part of the process, and that is the approval of their times. Two-step approval before pay processing takes up. The first one is the job supervisor needs to actually account for all the guys or girls that were working on his site for that time frame. So here we've got the actual job and the people, start time, end time, the date, the duration, normal lunch was taken. So from a job perspective, we're confirming that, yep, that makes sense. These are the guys I had. That's all good. We're looking for an approval here before you can actually do pay processing. The second approval is project manager or administration type level. So here, it's actually about people reflecting the job information at the bottom. While the first was the other way around, I click on a person, I can see all the jobs they've worked on, the times, durations, lunch was taken, etc. And as you can see, I've also got indication of pay types that weren't just the straight normal working type pay types. The administrator, either of these guys, can override anything, they can correct anything, and as a safety net, they can even enter if they need to. So this guy dropped his phone in the toilet before he came to work this day, hasn't got his phone, pick up someone else's, ring us up, say, listen, I worked, bang, all goes in. There's no excuse to hold up pay processing. Got comments, as you can see, doctor's certificate available, etc. Looking for both of those to be approved, 2 thumbprints, before we're actually going to pay process. And the last part of this area in terms of demonstration is actually what you'll be used to now already, and that is the actual timesheet process. So our input stream for the timesheet process, we've got one more available than we had before, and that is basically the web-based collection. We haven't removed any. We could still have 5 sources of times. We have Excel sheets, time clocks, store times, web-based. Whatever the scenario that works for your organisation, we're still going to be able to load all of that information up. You might have managers that are still on a default scenario and other managers that are actually using their phone to actually capture their times. This is as you would be familiar with, so we can actually go through and we can actually check, confirm, whatever we want to do. We can still override. Full audit trails are going on. What did the employee tell us? What did anybody actually interact with in terms of overriding